Chapter 21. Usually, once he got bored of the women outside, Su Fengnian would go to the tide listening pavilion to ask for advice from his master, Li Yishan, or go to the second floor to search for one or two secret manuals of the secret sect, and then go back to his room to learn. But after White Fox's face settled in, Su Fengnian did not disturb this guy's closed-door training. The prince's mansion was decorated with lanterns and colored banners, and it was very festive. There were no less than 600 big red lanterns. Therefore, Su Fengnian had been fighting for justice for those assassins. Even if they were good at Qinggong and managed to sneak into the prince's mansion, it was still not easy to find Su Xiao. With so many twists and turns, those with poor patience would probably jump up and down and curse. In the first month, there was an endless stream of visitors with expensive gifts, but those who were qualified to present gifts to the Great Pillar State could be counted with one's fingers. Most of them could not get past housekeeper Song Yu, and then most of them were stopped by housekeeper Shin Chun. The rest were high-ranking officials like Li Hanlin and Yan Qiji's father or family friends. These old foxes had always prepared double the gifts. It was obvious that they knew the rules of the northern Liang prince's residence. Unless it was a matter of national affairs, the crown prince's words were the most accurate. Su Fengnian naturally did not refuse any of them. He also called them uncle and uncle diligently, and became more familiar with the ways of the world. Lantern Festival. Su Fengnian brought a group of evil servants and evil dogs to the famous Kajia Alley in Lingzhou to see the colorful lanterns. The Lantern Festival had always been a good time to enjoy the lanterns, the moon, and the beauties. After 3 years of exile, Prince Su had gained a lot of knowledge. Not only did he master a lot of the vulgar slang of various provinces, he also heard a lot of wise sayings, such as, "Where there are women, there will be Jianghu." The number of times that Su Fengnian had fought with others for the sake of a girl could not be counted with both hands and feet. One had to count Li Hanlin, Kong Wuxia, and a few other bastards to barely count. Over the years, the number of unlucky losers who had been defeated by Su Fengnian could be grouped into several rows. The Red Sparrow's brothel, which had overshadowed the Purple Gold brothel in recent years, was located in Kajia Alley. Therefore, Su Fengnian brought along Yu Yuwei, saying that he would bring her to smash the brothel. Kajia Alley was extremely crowded. Those ruffians who took the opportunity to take advantage of women on such occasions all had their eyes lit up. They touched their breasts and buttocks, which showed that they were very experienced. Some daring men even shouted, "Why are you squeezing? Are you in a hurry to reincarnate with your family?" While they were pushing the women in front of them. If they were lucky enough to meet a coquettish woman in heat, they might even cooperate with them. Life was full of all kinds of weird and motley things. When Su Fengnian was young, he often did this kind of thing with Li Hanlin. However, at that time, when his sisters turned around and saw that he was an elegant and handsome youth, most of them did not care. No matter where Su Fengnian went, they automatically made a path for him. No one was brave enough to take advantage of Yu Yokue. Su Fengnian was not interested in guessing riddles, but a couple in front of him had piqued his interest. The young man was dressed luxuriously. He was wearing a bright red and gold tunic with azure and silver embroidered sleeves. There was a suet jade belt around his waist, but he did not carry a sword. The woman had a graceful figure, and her back was graceful. She did not speak much, and it was the man who did the talking. "Sister Fan, you women are all made of water, and the rest of the men are made of mud. Therefore when I see women, I feel refreshed, but when I see men, I feel turbid and pungent. Sister Fan, when will you agree to let me eat the rouge on your mouth?" When Su Fengnian heard this, he was annoyed. "Damn it, coffin ghost." He sped up without saying anything and kicked the young master's butt. He was a weak man, so he fell forward in an instant. Su Fengnian followed and stomped on him. The young master did not have time to shout before Su Fengnian kicked him in the mouth. His extremely beautiful face was immediately covered in blood and dust. Su Fengnian did not stop moving his feet. He laughed and said, "Don't you think that a body made of mud is unbearably filthy? Aren't you also made of mud? Why don't you go hang yourself? You still want to eat a woman's rouge? Do you want to eat **tea? The evil slaves, who wished for the world to be in chaos, cheered loudly. They praised His Royal Highness as if he was even more vigorous and lively than the world's #1 expert. Sister Fan, who was mentioned by the handsome young master, was at a loss. Her limpid eyes widened, and she held her chest, looking delicate and pitiful. Su Fengnian was tired of stomping, So the next step was naturally to release the dogs and evil slaves. He ordered, "Throw this guy into the cesspool." The two evil slaves, who were used to doing dirty things, walked over with a sinister smile. They each lifted a leg and dragged the elegant and refined young master away from Kajia Ali. Sister Fan's tears were sparkling, and she said in a trembling voice, "Brother Lin was last year's 3rd place in the imperial examination." 3rd place? Su Fengnian turned to face the sickly young lady. The difference in treatment was like heaven and earth. He smiled gently and said, "Sister Fan, it's good to be the top scholar. Otherwise, you're not worthy of this young master's famous Zhonghu deadly 18 kicks." The young lady seemed to be frightened. She held her chest and gasped for breath. Her face was pale. Su Fengnian originally wanted to ask where the young lady was from, but seeing the situation, he did not want to scare the young lady. He only advised her, "Sister Fan, when Lin Tanhua climbs out of the cesspool, tell him to stop eating rouge. Be careful that he doesn't become the rabbit master of Fengzhou's Li Hanlin." Then, he took Yu Yuwei, who did not know whether to laugh or cry, and the proud evil slaves and left. When the Red Sparrow brothel heard that His Royal Highness was coming, they trembled with fear like mice seeing a cat. Su Fengnian did not enter the brothel. He only had one of the evil slaves take out a seal from the government and run over to stick it on the red lacquer door. The brothel keeper of the Red Sparrow brothel, who was known as Lingzhou's #1 brothel keeper, walked over to Su Fengnian as if her parents had died. She wiped away her tears and carefully asked, "His Royal Highness, what is the reason for this? If the Red Sparrow brothel has not treated you well, Your Highness can just kick me a few times." "Your Highness, please wait a moment. The Red Sparrow brothel will immediately have a few courtesans dress Your Highness." Su Fengnian sneered with a straight face. "I've heard that 3 years ago when I was just a few dozen miles away from Lingzhou, the Red Sparrow's brothel celebrated without restraint until dawn. I've heard that the entire Nanhuai River is fragrant. Can you drink 100 jars of fine wine? Could you earn 100,000 taels of silver?" The brothel keeper explained with a sad face. "Your Highness, please understand. The Red Sparrow brothel is only a small business. How could we dare to refuse a guest?" Su Fengnian was amused and said sincerely, "You have your difficulties. I understand, but what should be done is done. Don't worry, the Red Sparrow brothel is not the only brothel that is in trouble. Those who drank wine and sought pleasure here 3 years ago will be dealt with one by one. If the Red Sparrow brothel wants to open its doors, first chase that Lu Ke-er, who mocked Yu Wei, out of Lingzhou. After a year and a half, when my anger has subsided, you will be able to do business." The brothel keeper, who had learned from Gongnam Du to raise skinny horses to make money, still wanted to plead, but His Royal Highness impatiently turned around and left. He only turned his head and smiled at the awake Yu Huakue. "Did you vent your anger?" Yu Huakue had learned from her ancestor, Li Yuan. She left the brothel when she was at her most attractive. Her oval-shaped face was slightly plumper as she hugged Wu Mainyang, who had gained 5 to 6 caddies in just one winter, and did not say anything. On the way to the Lion Bridge by the Nanhuai River to admire the lanterns, His Royal Highness, who was ignorant and incompetent, quietly asked, "Yu Wei, just now I wanted to describe the actions of those bastards in the Red Sparrow brothel as a celebration. Is it appropriate?" Yu Yuwei's eyes flashed with the subtle scene of green ants on the surface of a new bottle of wine, but her tone was very calm as she said, "It's not appropriate." Su Fengnian was pleased with himself. Fortunately, Lingzhou's 13-hole Lion Bridge was almost synonymous with Kajia Ali. There were 3 strange things about this bridge. The first strange thing was called the Lion Bridge. However, the railings and observation posts were carved with hundreds of beasts and thousands of birds, and only a lion was missing. The second strange thing was that the body of the bridge was made of white jade, so there would always be people with hammers and iron hammers who wanted to break some jade pieces and chisel some jade powder to sell for money. As a result, the Lion Bridge had strong bridge watchers with a semi-official status standing at the head and end of the bridge all year round. The third strange thing was that there was a strange rumor that an immortal had ascended on a dragon from the bridge. Su Fengnian saw that Yu Yuwei was a bit tired from carrying Wu Mainyang, so he took her and held her in his arms. The fat and exceptionally lovable white cat was not willing to act coquettishly in front of its master's master. Even its cold expression was exactly the same as Yu Yuwei's. Su Fengnian, who was holding a stick of sugar-coated haws, didn't mind. He took a bite and suddenly asked, "What do you think that young master who loves to eat rouge can't swim? If he's covered in feces and urine, How is he going to go home after getting out of the manure pit? Yu Yue didn't want to answer this question, especially since she was still holding a sweet dish of carved phoenix with syrup in her hand. Su Fengnian's thoughts went astray. It didn't matter whether that young master could swim or not, because he was standing in a latrine pit and wouldn't crawl out even if he was beaten to death. He didn't want his fairy-like Sister Fan to see a Lin Tanhua covered in feces. Sister Fan stood not far away and frowned, persuading him with soft words. It wasn't until the Lantern Festival ended that she finally convinced Lin Tanhua to crawl out of the latrine pit. As for how he would go back, it would be another period of bitterness that he was destined to never be able to remember. This unexpected calamity caused Master Lin, who was supposed to visit his family's elder the next day, to postpone his visit by nearly half a day. When he finally mustered up the courage to go out and meet them, he found out that the elder, who had a very shallow relationship but held the court's first-class official weapon, had already left the city to patrol the border. Thus, he simply took Sister Fan to Mount Wudong to relax.